Guys, welcome to a muzzled chat. No time for a jingle tonight. Golly, it's going on. Yep, 10 o'clock now. It's been a long, full day. We all have those. I'm not here to play my violin. But there's so much going on, folks. I gotta try my best to keep up. And as much as I want to expose this whole construct, left, right, Dems, Republicans, it's all a construct weaponized effectively to divide us. And there's so much information to go over that helps really expose how we have all been duped to playing into this to our demise. We'll connect more of those dots in the future. I really just want to sound the alarm on more things regarding our health so we can protect ourselves, our mind, our spirit, our bodies, so we can effectively show up in all those other arenas. So without further ado, let's just play this quick clip. Still wearing AirPods, question mark? I've already talked about, and I should have brought them all in. Everything's corded. I have the jack on the phone. You can get the adapter even if you don't have the 3.5 jack. Audio jack. But still wearing AirPods. There's countless studies as to how negatively impacting it is. Let's just play this quick clip.
If you wear Apple AirPods, you may be at risk of something even worse than looking totally cool.
250 scientists from over 40 countries have signed a petition to warn against
250 scientists.
radio wave radiation from wireless technologies.
Think about AirPods. You put these on your head, they communicate through your brain, and they are very clearly producing a significant amount of microwave electromagnetic field EMF radiation. Look.
Insane.
Oh, not you again.
I've tested it. It's very clear. AirPods are...
They portrayed that very well. The guy with the AirPods like being like, oh, not you again, because they just want to stay. Everyone wants to stay blindly ignorant. They don't want to look into these studies because how convenient these modern technological advances. Now, believe you me, I get that. I was an early adopter to the earbuds and cordless, especially contracting, swinging a hammer. It was stupid, even downright dangerous to have cords attached to your device. I get it. But we're talking about your health and how it's negatively impacting the function of your brain. It's serious. Oh, I'm not feeling too many side. Well, you don't have to. It's having a negative impact. And then futuristically, okay, what? You're going to care futuristically when you have brain cancer? Come on. You can't live in ignorance.
producing a huge amount.
And I'm even speaking to my past self because I didn't want to believe it. And I was resistant and procrastinating. I did have to, luckily for me, I had all these other issues. So the fact that they caused migraines due to my compromised state, just do some research.
And you're wearing them for sometimes hours a day when you're at the gym. There is a solid amount of research, over 1,500 studies.
1,500 studies. Uh-oh. We might just have to play that thing again. I don't know if I can, because I hit the wrong dang button. I apologize. Let's listen.
If you wear Apple AirPods, you may be at risk of something even worse than looking
By the way, it's not just Apple. It's all, let me repeat, all earbuds.
totally cool.
250 scientists from over 40 countries have signed a petition to warn against
petition.
radio wave radiation from wireless technologies.
Think about AirPods. You put these on your head, they communicate through your brain,
Yeah.
and they are very clearly producing a significant amount of microwave electromagnetic field EMF radiation. Look.
not you again.
I've tested it. It's very clear. AirPods are producing a huge amount, and you're wearing them for sometimes hours a day when you're at the gym. There is a solid amount of research, over 1,500 studies.
1,500 studies. Guys, start looking into those.
And the vast majority of that research suggests that this microwave radiation is harmful for your body. There's also studies with human sperm showing that when they are exposed to these EMFs, they have more DNA breaks and their motility is impaired. Look, there are easy solutions here. Wired headphones are going to significantly reduce the amount of EMFs, especially if your phone is on airplane mode and you are listening to pre-recorded content while you are using them.
If you wear Apple AirPods, you may be at risk of something even worse than looking totally cool.
Oh, I personally can attest to this. It's been a great blessing to rule those back out, and I'll never go back to them. Oh, there's so much to skip over. Evil stuff. You know, this is very telling. Let's just play this quick clip. I want to keep it to health, but this is pretty good.
You turned down.
This is, I don't even know the freaking talk show guy, but this Ice Cube turned down a big amount of money due to the jab. Listen to what he's got to say. Powerful.
A $9 million movie role in 2021 because you wouldn't take the COVID vaccine. It was being mandated in Hollywood at the time. Any regrets? It's a lot of money.
Not at all. Not one regret.
You know my thought when I heard that story? You must be even richer than I think you are.
You know, your health is worth more than all the money in the world.
Worth more than all the money in the world. Your health. It's so true. $9+ million movie role. Doesn't regret it, not one bit. Of course that guy's going to take a stance. So you must be more rich than we all know. It's like, what? No. It's so good.
To me, it was an experimental drug, and they had no time to really see the long-term effects. It's kind of like the war machine, you know. If you make the bullets and the Band-Aids, you're going to always want to be in war because it's profitable.
If you make the bullets and the Band-Aids, you're always going to want to be at war because it's profitable. That exposes right there so clearly the whole scandemic. And basically a sentence. All right. Public streets, even in our own homes now, under threat. Obviously, we're not just an occupied country. We've been infiltrated in the government, whether it's bribes, threats. There's a Epstein kind of situations, blackmailing. But we're infiltrated and all over. And this particular one strikes home because this gentleman, not even gentleman, this evil POS just got picked up, arrested, Scottsdale PD in Fashion Square Mall right here in Scottsdale, Arizona, after stabbing a woman in a carjacking, and then also reportedly stabbed a woman attempting, that was during the carjacking. And then he allegedly followed an employee into a bathroom of a McDonald's and surprised and stabbed her multiple times. But police already reported while this POS was in custody, he admitted to killing an individual in a hotel in New York earlier February 8th. Also, suspect in other cases in Florida and Texas. This is insane. This is sick. This is just footage of the body cam arrest. I mean, story after story. We could dive into so many. And we'll ping pong around here a bit. Because I need a full transparency. I need to find a way of really organizing these things in chronological orders. And we'll get there. Bear with us. It's fun to jump around a bit. Was this Gary Brecka? Wow, I'm going off of memory here. But he exposes... He drops some truth bombs. So let's play this.
We take that same chemical weapon that's an acute toxic, flammable environmental hazard, and we ship it to compound pharmacies that put it in supplements and protein powders and energy drinks that you drink. Right? You ever heard of a Celsius energy drink?
Yes.
Celsius energy drink has 4 times the amount of daily cyanide that a human being's meant to ingest.
Insane.
4 times. That's just one sample.
I did not know that. And I used to drink them quite often. I shelved them due to the sugars, mainly. So there's more and it'll forever be a work in progress. I'll never hit perfect. But I need to familiarize myself with some of these things to look for in products and what they're being labeled as. And as soon as something, it's like public knowledge that it's, demonized, like they are changing it craftily to a new name. Maybe changing a slight ingredient, or it's just crazy.
So drink Monster or Bang. Drink Bang, not Monster or Celsius, right? Bang has methylcobalamin. This has cyanocobalamin.
Oh my gosh.
And we wonder what,
So
we're putting these toxic chemicals. He says, you know where we get the hydrogen cyanide? Don't make me take you to that website because you'll get up and leave. I wonder, do you know where we would get hydrogen cyanide? Because these facilities that actually compound this B12, they don't even pay for the hydrogen cyanide. You know where they get it? Human sewage treatment plants.
Disgusting.
It is the waste from a human sewage treatment plant. It's called sludge. It's foamy yellow sludge. They scrape it off the top, they dry it, turn it into a powder, ship it to a facility, synthesize it with a metal, and put it in your vitamins.
Gosh dang.
They take metal, hydrogen cyanide, and put it in our supplements. So that's exactly. So when you get home tonight, I want you to take all of your supplements and protein powders, spin them around, look for that word cyanocobalamin, and if it has it, throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Right? And do that for your kids too.
Wow, there's so much to learn up on, folks. This cartoon. Dude wearing a mask telling the one not wearing a mask. You not wearing a mask puts my family at risk. The guy not wearing the mask replies, your obedience to the elite pedophiles, criminal government, pharma cartel, corrupt media, and dark agenda puts myself and my family at risk. Yeah, that kind of sums it up. This right here. This guy goes...
American girl on the streets of San Francisco. The O'Reilly factor
talks about
sent me to
this
a
guy and how
picture
he's
here.
Released.
This guy out. You guys aren't even looking. Look at the picture. You afraid? My 2-year-old nursing student was murdered in Georgia last week. Blunt force trauma to the head.
We could sit here and play this trash. It's sad. This is what
with Seth Meyers and Rock Center.
He connects all the dots. Like, do we even need to go through it all? We don't. We know. But it's more. And it's happening more. And if we don't stand strong, like this is just, let's not allow this to become the new norm. This is unacceptable. Folks, we are the checks and balance. Is it come to a point people don't want the power to lie in their hands? You want to just be ruled over? Put into a smaller box? Losing free speech, all your freedoms, everything, your health even. Wow. There's so much. This one even dives in. Let's play this.
When you start to see people like Bill Gates gobble up farmland, and you read what his foundation says about farming, when they say that we're going to have a particular type of agriculture. They want large blocks run by the government or by private consortia where they say, we're not going to have animal-based proteins, we're not going to have stockyards, we're not going to have turkey farms, we're not going to have chicken. The academic mind always has the answers, but never in the real world. And they do a lot of damage.
Everywhere you look, small and medium-sized farms being gobbled up by these corporate mega farms because they can't keep up anymore. They can't comply with these endless streams of regulations that are coming down. We're seeing that in China now, where these giant mechanized corporate, big government-controlled mega farms are displacing all these little small family farms that families have been farming for hundreds of years, in some cases longer. They're moving them all off their little plots of land and moving them into these big, horrific mega cities that they have built. And we're going to see that all over the world with the decimation of small farms. So if they're not bankrupted by economic forces, the government itself will shut them down.
Everything is falling apart. There is a shortage of food. Many people do not have enough money to eat every day.
Everybody's out here today because they understand that when our government actually expropriates our farmers, we're all next.
Not just Holland is now facing these types of regulations, but you can see the attack on farmers all over the world. It's an agenda that is carried out on a global level that is being pushed through government officials in respective countries.
Germany, India, everywhere. America
have managed to take over national parliaments and national governments. 20 countries equal 80% of all the emissions. You solve the problem to start with by making sure all of those 20 countries are doing what they need to do. We have to pull them to the table and leverage further. So how do we get there? Well, the lesson I've learned in the last year is money, 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 money.
They're following a script where they are thinking already from the perspective of a global, bureaucratic, quasi-totalitarian system of governing, system of rules. This is an agenda, and all these countries are implementing the same policies. So they've targeted the farmers because that's the agenda.
Right now, in terms
this is
of
your food.
As far as cost for my own farming operation and for many farmers across the country.
Your
and
health.
I think you're going to see across the board higher food prices.
Food prices are already up dramatically this year, last year a little bit too, and we might see more empty shelves in America. Even the president is promising food shortages in his conversation, so there's no need for this to be happening. The people are the ones that are going to be hurt. Not just farmers, trying to make a living. It's going to be the food supply of this country, which is a staple of our security of our nation.
Right.
Being able to grow the grain and the crops that we do, that not only supplies us, but our allies and other trading partners around the world.
We have 8 billion people on the planet now, and that's sustainable if they allow agriculture to continue to be mechanized and genetically altered. And I don't think they understand that if they tamper with that, you're going to have people go hungry.
We are headed into, I think, a time of very significant food shortages. Can we expect to see massive increases in food prices next year? Oh, no question about it. So I think the end goal of the war on farmers that we're seeing, which is guided at every step by the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030, is going to be a total consolidation of agriculture, a total consolidation of the food supply. And as every communist tyrant of the last 100 years has understood, if you control the food, you control the people. I think that's ultimately the end goal.
100%. Once again, evil gates. Wow, this guy dives in. We've covered COVID and the jab at nauseum, but you can't hide the dead bodies anymore. This CEO, Scott Davidson, is revealing how they've been seeing, and this has been extremely suppressed, but across the board, in excess of 40% mortality rates through the insurances, and that's for 25-year-olds through 64. I mean, we could play it. I mean, there's just so much to go over. That's dangerous. We could dive into that. Kind of shows the politicians as to how they are enriching themselves. It's just, there's so much to dive into. It's hard to skip over some of this information. This will help, I guess, connect some of the pictures, dots. It's late. Let's play this.
Well, you asked the question in your book, The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Disclaimer, I have yet to read this book, but I've heard it's extremely eye-opening.
What is the Federal Reserve, and what is your answer?
Well, what it is, it's a cartel.
Yeah.
It's not a government agency. It has the appearance of it being a government agency, and they went to great lengths to give it that facade. It does have the power of government because Congress voted to give the power of enforcement to it.
Has
In
the
its
power
essence,
we
it's a cartel.
allow it to have.
It's nothing different than a banana cartel or an oil cartel or sugar cartel. It happens to be a banking cartel. They got together, they drew up the rules and regulations for their own industry, to self-regulate their own industry is what cartels do, and then they sent it to Congress, and they took off the label at the top that said banking cartel, and they erased that, and they said Federal Reserve Act. Congress passed it into law, and that's why we think it's a government agency, is because if you don't obey the rules that they set down for their own industry, you go to prison. And so it looks like a government agency. But basically the answer to your question is, it's a banking cartel.
Well, you asked the question in your book that...
Pause. So we're funding the war that's being waged against us through the cartel, the banking cartel. Oh, this is such a good one, too. We'll just have to play into that. Okay, more on the threat. Why the secrecy? Why are they trying to withhold this information from you? Why is it mainly only Rumble in certain places, or actually, X to an extent, sharing this information?
What you're seeing is basically an unmarked building. All signage is removed. That's the first sign you know that this is an NGO, a non-governmental organization, in this case, Casa Alitas, who is housing illegal immigrants. Let's go inside to see what happens. Trying to rent a room?
Oh, no, we don't rent rooms.
Why? Is this a hotel?
We don't. Can you guys get off the property, please?
Is this not a hotel?
Can you please exit the property? It's private property.
Whose private property? There's no name outside?
Can you please have them exit the building?
What's the problem? But is this where illegals are being housed with government funding?
Can you please get off our property? All of you, please, or I'm going to call the police.
Please call them. Yeah, hi, what is this?
You need to leave, please.
But I need to know what it is. Oh, Casa Ali.
Good job, lady. And now she's calling out because this employee is actually wearing the hotel's branding, and she's trying to cover it up. Good reporting. Good job. Film crew, this lady. It is not easy. You're walking into like hostile territory, and it's like what formerly you had to cater and put a smile on to, like, for your guests, but now that you got these big government payouts and contracts, like, to secretly house, it's insane. A lot of these places are having to fire their staff, and they're being supplied staff, but this is one of the hotel workers formerly, no doubt.
He does. This is Casa. This is an NGO paid for by government money.
We're not going to answer any of your questions.
Why?
Can you explain what you do here?
No.
Why so much secrecy?
Yes.
That's what the American people want to understand.
Yes, we do.
What's happening here? Why?
So I'll just wait with you here until you leave, but we won't be answering any questions.
¿Podemos hablar? Tú puedes hablar con nosotros si quieres.
She tries talking to some of the guests, but the staffer is like, don't do it. So influences them not to. Obviously, they're going to comply because they're getting free housing on our dime for illegally entering the country. This is insane. Millions of dollars across the board while we're suffering, while veterans are on the street, while homeless folks are on the street. This is insane. And they're housed in a lot of these facilities, can't even provide all the meals, so they're getting catered meals upwards of like $50, $60 a day per individual. It's insane.
You guys cannot come into our shelter.
Shelter?
To be seen, directions to a hotel, the aeropuerto.
Reading it on computer.
Wow.
Okay, I will.
Wow. All over the place. This is so crazy. Right here. Laura Logan calls out how the U.S. government funds NGOs. Yeah, this is pretty good. Let's play
As a
this.
nonpartisan.
You said you've been targeted over the last 10 years. Can you describe what precipitated your targeting?
Yes, reporting the truth about Benghazi. I was attacked by one of those NGOs that masquerades as a nonpartisan watchdog in violation of its 501(c) status. It occupies a highly partisan position. I'm talking about Media Matters for America. I'm sure there's many doctors in this room, scientists who've been attacked by the same people. The same people that run that, David Brock, for example, another political assassin, now runs an organization called Facts First USA, which is designed to make sure that your research, Dr. Hazan, never reaches the people or the public. There are other organizations like Defeat Disinfo, which claims to be a PAC that goes after disinformation, particularly set up to target COVID and throughout COVID with General Stanley McChrystal and the other people that advise that organization. But what, Senator Johnson, it's not a secret that these organizations exist. What is not widely known and talked about is that it's paid for by us. It's paid for by the taxpayers. In your omnibus spending bills that get shoved through the House and the Senate against the will of the people of this country, there are cutouts for these NGOs. And what they do is they launder this money, they pass it from one NGO to the next, and in the name of preventing the spread of disinformation, they censor, silence, intimidate, and punish. I said that this is a death sentence for journalists. It's how you murder a journalist without killing them. It's how you murder a scientist without killing them. It's how you murder a doctor without killing them. It's how you murder the vaccine injured when they haven't died yet. It's how you finish them off and everybody else in their family. And it's time for people in this building who come to work every day here to serve us. This is the only country where we, the people, are the government. This is a government for the people, of the people, and by the people.
We gotta replay that.
The only country of us. This is the only country where we...
The only country where we, the people, are the government. We must grasp that narrative, each and every one of us, and do our part and be excited to. So well said.
The people are the government. This is a government for the people, of the people, and by the people. And the same is said for so-called journalists. Del Britry, this man, has been targeted for simply going to the FDA hearings and filming them when they approve vaccines. Just filming them, not doing a thing, and putting that out and showing people there is no real approval process. They didn't actually do their jobs. And for that, he's been targeted for years, long before COVID ever hit. So it's time now for us to stop taking taxpayer funds to slit our own throats.
Yes.
One of the many reasons I generally vote no on those. But thank you, Ms. Logan. You said you've been targeted.
Wow. And paying out to slit our own throats. Very well said. These gentlemen touch on the climate change narrative is finally crumbling because there's all these other peer-reviewed studies by credible scientists coming out. Could play it. But it blows up the narrative that has preyed on people's heartstrings, that's effectively putting people in smaller boxes and shifting us towards a more tyrannically controlled Green New Deal and electric vehicles and things to literally it's all controlled by a switch. There's also now reports, just like those earbuds, those electric vehicles are like microwaves negatively impacting the body. It's crazy. Okay, here's another insane threat. This man, let's take a look. Early voting in Tennessee local election. It looks rigged. Let's hear what he has to say, what he experienced.
Breaking news, TikTok Nation. I got some interesting news from our local voting station here in Tennessee. So, this is an early voting. We got a couple more days to vote. So, I went in there with my dad to vote. He's a Republican. Here's how this just went down. Hi, who are you voting for? First off, why does that matter? But anyway, he said Republican. Oh, okay. Well, I need to see your ID. Okay, he gives them their ID. Well, I need to see your voting card. Sir, I haven't had my voting card in years, but I know I'm registered to vote. I've got it in the mail. It should be in your system. Can you please look it up for me? Okay, fine. I'll look it up for him. They looked it up for him. Yeah, I found you. Are you still here? Yeah, I'm still in that same residence, except for I've switched apartments. Oh, you can't vote today. Well, okay, you can vote today as long as we switch this. What is going on with this, guys? And by the way, as we were leaving, another person came in the room and said, "What are you voting for?" She said, "Democrat." Gave her the paper and walked on in there. No ID, no voting card, no issues, no nothing. Stay safe, America.
Wow. That's a grave threat. Oh my gosh. All right. Do we just dive into this one? We're 29 minutes in. This is a 10-minute. I haven't played out the whole thing. But they're talking about a study comparing the vaccinated and unvaccinated children. So the childhood vaccine schedule. It is, from what the bits and clips I already did view, looks like a heavy hitter. It's important. We definitely will be going there. Maybe we'll come back to it the same episode or talk more. Guys, the information's out. No one should be getting needles in their arm unless you know every single item. You know there's quality control and a whole, what do you call that? A record of possession, just everything. But we don't, because it could have been corrupted along the way. I mean, it's not worth the risk. This lady.
I looked this up to make sure this was accurate because I didn't believe it at first, that there's only 11, and it is true. There's only 11 chemicals that are banned from our cosmetics or body lotions or whatever we're putting on our skin. The thing that really bothers me is that our babies are not being born pure. I found this study to show you. This is by the Environmental Working Group, and what they found was they took 10 babies and tested their cord blood. They found 287 chemicals in their cord blood of these 10 babies. Stain and oil repellents used in fast food packaging, clothing and textiles, including Teflon, in the baby's cord blood. They found ingredients such as waste from burning coal, gasoline, and garbage, pesticides, consumer product ingredients in the cord blood. They know that 180 cause cancer in humans or animals, 217 are toxic to the brain and nervous system, and 208 cause birth defects or abnormal development in animal tests. So this is pretty outstanding. There's a link if you guys want to look it up. The other crazy part is the parent hadn't been exposed to any out-of-range chemicals before. They weren't working in factories or exposed to high levels of toxins. They're just regular people. So our babies are born highly toxic, and it's just awful to me. It breaks my heart. So why is this happening? Because the FDA sold out is basically what it comes down to. 99% of food chemicals introduced since 2000 were green-lighted for use by food and chemical companies rather than properly reviewed by the Food and Drug Administration. So here's the big kicker. These substances end up in what we eat thanks to a legal loophole that allows food to be classified as generally recognized as safe. These companies are basically just making the laws for themselves. How is this possible? Well, you got lobbyists. It's all money. It all goes back to money. Who can get paid off?
Wow. So true. Gotta watch what we eat. This is pretty bombshell. Jacob Rothschild. Everything they dive into. It's sick. Wow, this will be interesting to see. But there's some breaking news. Looks like today, where this gentleman was offered $4,000 from Ukraine to assassinate Tucker Carlson. And he just got arrested in Moscow. He talks about it. I don't want to jump the gun on these type of stories and see, but it when you listen and watch, it seems legit. It's make it look like the Russians, right? It's crazy. All right, this is
almost perceived as a. I think your own country, the United States, has a very complicated relationship with guns because on one hand it's almost perceived as a symbol of freedom protected by the Second Amendment, but on the other hand, it also created specific...
This lady's interviewing Steven Seagal, that actor. He pretty much blows this interview out of the park.
Particularly American form of violence, mass shootings in schools and universities. So I wonder, where do you stand on the issue of gun control in the United States?
Well, first of all, I believe in the Second Amendment and the Constitution more than anything in the world. And I think that Adolf Hitler, for example, when he wanted to annihilate the people of Germany, the first thing he did was take away their guns.
Mm-hmm.
And the rights to bear arms wasn't just to protect the people from foreign invaders, it was to protect them against evil governments and anyone that would violate their inherent rights as a human being.
Correct.
So I believe in the Second Amendment, and I believe that, I hate to say this, a lot of these mass murders and all this funny stuff that's going on, I believe a lot of this is engineered.
And yet,
It's 100%. So much of that 100% is entirely engineered by the government to fulfill an agenda.
in the aftermath of the, I think it was Newtown shooting, you were engaged in a Connecticut program, I think, to teach children in self-defense. Do you think those skills would be helpful if they were faced with somebody who was armed to the teeth?
Well, first of all, I wasn't teaching children to defend themselves. I was teaching what's called the posse, which are sworn officers to come in and defend schools. And so these are people that have had training with firearms. They have had police training. They're just not on my level, but they are, sworn.
But you still thought that that engagement was important, and that there's something has to be done about the gun situation within schools and universities.
The most precious gift we have from God is our children. Why can't we spend money and time to protect our schools and our children? They have armed guards at every bank, at every jewelry store.
Yes.
If you go around Champs-Élysées, you go around France and Monaco and Beverly Hills, there's all these armed guards everywhere protecting money and jewelry. Why can't we protect our children?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Very good question. Amen, brother. Yeah, this is wild. Joe Biden took classified documents from a skiff. 100%. Like, he's getting off scot-free. Like, President Trump had every right to have the documents he's had. And he had the power to declassify it all.
Kristen, let me push back a little bit. You have to acknowledge that
this guy blows it up in this interview. They try shutting him down. He's still, with a lot of, I don't know, confrontation, still gets his message across as much as they wanted to shut this narrative down.
the fact that now that the Robert Hur report has come out about Joe Biden's misuse of classified information, which is a violation of the Espionage Act, he had no rights to any of those documents when he was a senator or vice president. Yet there are no charges against President Biden or President Trump. Is under prosecution. Come on, now. We know that doesn't make any sense at all.
I have to hit the pause button for 1 minute, Congressman, because the Hur report was very clear that there was not enough evidence to bring charges against President Biden.
There is. It's just a hierarchy.
What the Hur report said, Congressman, that is exactly what the Hur report said. Yes, it is. It said that there wasn't enough evidence to bring
you cannot possess those documents
Yes.
as a senator or a vice president. You have no right to those documents as a senator or a vice president. They must remain in a secure facility. Joe Biden took them from a skiff. That's a violation of the Espionage Act. Period.
Okay. All right.
Kristen, let me push back.
Very well done. It's such a hierarchy, folks. Oh my gosh, this president of Ukraine, what a sick freak. Just sick. Man, more grid in this, guys. This is insane. It's so sad. How are we so blind? Yes, Google is actively interfering with our elections. You know what? Let this be some calls to action, some words of wisdom here. If my mouse is going to work for us.
And you want to know what they did in Bosnia during 2020? The government's like, yeah, we need to shut down. And Bosnians were like, no.
No.
And then government couldn't do anything. And then when they tried bringing in, like, the passports, guess what, like, Serbia did? They're like, yeah, we'll just make fake ones. What could they do? And then when the cops started to actually enforce the night curfews, yeah, a bunch of people went and jumped them. What are you going to do? There's more of us than there are them.
True.
And only your compliance gives them power.
True.
So stop complying. There's no need for wars. There's no need for protests.
Amen.
There's no need for anything. But if you come on my property and you take my chickens, I'm going to go to my mayor's house. I'm going to take his couch. That's how we play this. So stop complying. Due to everyone's mass compliance in 2020 and 2021, these lot lizard elite loser parasites have now gone power hungry. And this is exactly what we told you would happen. So I want everybody to find that fire in them, that sovereign human being, and stop complying. And you want to know what?
I like it. Oh, man, that's wild. That percentage chart's crazy. 100% effective, 100%, 100%. And you speed this up. 90s, and then it just goes 91, 90, 89, 88, all the way down. 20. Fast forward.
Highly effective.
What a circus, folks. Yeah, this one's pretty wild.
Is fluoride bad for us? That's what's being litigated in California right now in a major lawsuit.
The report in its draft form, since it's never been officially released, he did allow it into evidence, and that report says fluoride exposure is associated.
They really get into why mainstream media is silent and the shocking truth behind government censorship. Yeah, there's a lot to dive into there. Oh my gosh. Does someone want to hear a little bit of vindication? Pro-vax Scott Adams plays this anti-vaxxers won because he finally gathered all the data. He's made the graphs, done the charts, done the research.
As clearly as possible that the anti-vax people seem to be the winners. I want you to hear that clearly. The anti-vax people appear to be the winners. The anti-vaxxers clearly are the winners at this point, and I think it'll probably stay that way.
We don't want vindication.
And I don't want to put any shade on that whatsoever. For big companies and big government, that's never wrong. You just took the position, let's just distrust everything the government did. Well, you won. You won. You would all agree with that, right? About vaccination. That the people who didn't get vaxxed are absolutely in the winning position with no ambiguity.
Crazy. Wow, that's a topic for another day. Gosh dang, folks. Let's end maybe with this guy. 'Cause there's so much data. Help me effectively walk through everything, folks. We just must protect our minds, body, spirit, our health, and unite and take the action. It's just, I'm kind of a broken record, it seems, over here with the limited amount of speech that hopefully isn't getting too old too quickly.
In true fifth-generation warfare, you do not know who your opponent is. Example, who is responsible for, who's the puppet master behind the COVID crisis as we've experienced it? Who is it? Anybody here know? Was it Klaus? No. There's something above Klaus. Was it Biden? Was it Tony Fauci? These are all surrogates.
Right.
Okay? You don't really know who is managing the message that has been propagated on you. That's fifth-generation warfare. Over the last 3 years, Western governments, non-governmental organizations, transnational organizations, pharmaceutical industry, corporations, media and financial corporations have cooperated via public-private partnerships, which I assert is a euphemism for fascism, to deploy the most massive, globally harmonized psychological and propaganda operation in the history of the world. Okay? Over the last 3 years, you have been subjected to the most massive, harmonized, globally coordinated propaganda campaign in the history of the Western world. Full stop.
campaign, the governments of many Western nation states have turned, okay, this is key, military-grade psychological operations strategies, tactics, technologies, and capabilities developed for modern military combat against their own citizens. These are inconvenient facts. The world that many of us believed existed no longer exists if it ever did.
Wow. So true. So I want to jump back up to this other clip. Wow. You know, I'm pushing it. I am straight up pushing it today, folks. I need to go get some sleep. Let me actually leave you with an amazing tool, which I've gone over before. The YouVersion Bible app. Today's daily scripture reads, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." Psalms 56:3, NIV. And these two gentlemen that spoke out on it today, let's go ahead and play their message.
Which comes from Psalm 56, verse 3. When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. That's simple, but that is a resounding cry through the scriptures. When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. I think of King Jehoshaphat in 2 Chronicles when this great horde is coming to get him. And he says, I don't know what to do, but I put my eyes on you. And I think of Job. It says, though you slay me, yet I will put my hope in you. And I think of David over and over again, who says, when I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. Even though I'm in the valley of the shadow of death, I'm going to be okay.
Right.
Because you're with me. And if you really believe that God is with you, if you believe that you're God's son or God's daughter, then can I just say you're going to be okay. In fact, your future is so bright in him. And so you can say today, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. His goodness and mercy, they're going to be right beside me, even in the valley of the shadow of death. And me and my family are there in this season, and we're clinging to him. You know why? We don't have it. I don't have the goods to walk into the day and do the things, but he does. So I can say, even when I'm afraid, I put my hope in you. So be encouraged to put your hope in him today.
I guess above all, that is the greatest challenge of all, in a sense. Because in the end, they could cause a great suffering. Like, what is even, like, if you were able to live 100 years of pain, torture, suffering, all these horrific things, enslavement. What is that in the scheme of, like, eternity? I don't know. My thoughts just jump back to Jake Lang and the strength and resilience that man has being a POW under some fake chalked up insurrection for January 6th, not doing anything wrong. But the enlightened state he's found himself in and has achieved, all they could do is give us mortal suffering. All they could do is end our mortal physical state. Jesus conquered death. God's the creator of it all. Far more powerful and beautiful, loving and pure. Satan only seeks to steal, deceive, destroy. Sure, he loves to come off as God, just the challenge he did with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Twisting everything. Essentially gaslighting Adam and Eve. But how tempting. He snares us all in one way or another. And it's to our detriment. There's no gain to be had here. Just even like Ice Cube touched on regarding a more tangible, grasping like situation where no, it doesn't matter. And no, I'm not as rich as you would think because I turned this down. That's small-minded. That's small-minded, sir. You're missing the bigger picture. All the money in the world isn't worth my health. And that's even a smaller minded to the bigger picture as to why we're here. But he's touching on a profound truth that is applied to the bigger picture. I must work on this scripture. I don't mean to be too caught up into things. I just know that if you were duped like the Ice Cube situation and did get that for a gain or whatever, and now you're suffering, it's just going to be that much harder to make these connections. Because I now can speak from my own experiences to fighting a bioweapon and how detrimental and cognitive and just all that you get entirely consumed with your illness by design. And that's why I'm sitting here repeating. That's why I'm fighting now going almost 11 o'clock at night. I don't know if I'm going to even get this. No, I'm not going to be able to get this uploaded tonight. I apologize as soon as I'm able to get up tomorrow. Yeah, I got to get to bed. I got a freaking IV tomorrow. Oh my gosh. What am I doing? Irresponsible. No, it's that you listeners are that important to me. I just can't sound the alarm enough on these things so we can protect ourselves and avoid this illness and achieve the why we're here. And those subtle calls to action. On behalf of our littles and our loved ones and this country and our God, I'm just loving that scripture lately. If God is for us, who could be against us? Thank you so much for your love, support. I love you guys. Till next time, God bless.